I couldn't help myself. I just think that convention was filled with insanity, and Sarah Huckabee Sanders is one of the top people delivering it. So I'll play some clips from her speech and I'll give my commentary.
Under President Trump, America was safer. The world was safer. And it felt like the next generation would have a chance at the American dream. President Trump did the job that Kamala won't and Joe Biden simply can't. When we're honest, every American knows that we were so much better off under President Trump. So tonight, I don't want to just speak about President Trump's successful policies. While there are many, I want to talk about the man that I know. When the president hired me, I was the first mom and only the third woman to ever serve as the White House press secretary. And in that role, I endured relentless attacks from the left. I was insulted as a guest at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. My family was denied service and kicked out of a restaurant. And a parent at my 3-year-old son's preschool spit on my car. And in those moments, it was President Trump who defended me. And when an MSNBC host, the author of several books on empowering women, said I was unfit to be a mother, and another MSNBC host said I was vile, not even human, and that I should be choked, MSNBC again did nothing. But our president pulled me aside, looked me in the eye, and said, "Sarah, you're smart, you're beautiful, you're tough, and they attack you because you're good at your job. Never let them stop fighting." Ladies and gentlemen, we are not called to stand still in the face of great danger. You and I were put on this earth at a moment in time to charge boldly ahead. We cannot know what the future holds, but we know damn sure who holds the future in his hands. God spared President Trump from that assassin because God is not finished with him yet. And he most certainly is not finished with America yet either. With God as our guide and President Trump back in the White House, we will show the world that America is the place where freedom reigns and liberty will never die.
You know, I've always said I don't support acts against politicians which can be deemed threatening. So, for example, when she mentions the commentator who made the comment about she should be, whatever, I don't back that. When she mentions the person that spilled in her car, that's also something I don't support. And those are things in which I can genuinely feel sympathetic towards her in regard to, because I'm not a fan of people messing with politicians just in that manner. Again, if you want to protest by holding up a sign, shouting something, I'm perfectly fine with it. Where I do take issue with the speech, and I cut down most of it because I don't feel like just sitting through 12 minutes of just nonsense, but she praises Trump for being so tough on China, and then of course, acts like Biden has not carried out most of it. And then we get into what I think a lot of people, because I've seen some others talk about this as well, is probably the most I'd say, notable part of the speech, which is that she asserts that God spared Trump from being killed last, this past week or the week before. Yeah, on the 12th, 2 days before the convention started. Now, I have said repeatedly, I'm glad Trump survived. I don't support political violence. If I had my way, this would never even happen to begin with. I want him to survive and just lose an election and go into retirement or do whatever other stuff he wants to do. But what I take issue with is the idea that you had an incident where whatever your opinions on Trump may be, someone died, and it wasn't just the shooter. It was an innocent man who was trying to protect his child who happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. So when you say, "Oh, God spared Trump," okay, well, what were God's plans for the person who did not survive that incident? But see, it's so frustrating because, like, I'm Catholic. I don't mention my religion that often. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But like, I believe in God. I believe that there is a higher force. And what I try to do when it comes to rhetoric is I don't invoke God because I don't believe I, as a human, as a person, know what profess to know what a higher deity believes. Like, I can say in an abstract, I don't believe God would like for politicians to be shot at or have someone spit on their car or have people call for violence as they sit on major networks, as Sanders alluded to earlier. But even in making those assumptions, I'm not going to profess that, yes, I know God would not want this, God would not support this, especially when the incident you're talking about did cost an innocent person their life. So I think it's even more distasteful to say, hey, God selected Trump. I remember Trump had this video where he's outside, he's like, I am the chosen one. He looks up into the sky. I remember I played that for his last day, just making fun of him losing the election to Biden. But it's really just sad to see people take their religion. And again, we've seen politicians do this for decades, right? Just invoking God over and over and over again. But you take your religion and you don't use it, for the sake of I don't believe God would want one American to starve in the richest country in the world, which does happen a lot and is very depressing. You take it to deify a widely despised billionaire as having been given some type of divine intervention, when the truth of the matter is, all of the reasons this stuff happened can be laid at the blame and at the praise of people. It was the shooter's fault that Trump was shot. It was the Secret Service's fault that the shooter was even able to get close enough to him. And it was also the fault, in a good way, of the agents that were by Trump to knock him down, make sure that he was not in the way of fire after the first bullet hit him. But it's sad, And again, maybe if we're trying to be nice to Sanders, we can say she feels that whatever this way about religion. But it's just one of those things where I think when you have conventions, when people, I expect people to just praise whoever the nominee is. Oh, they're so amazing, yada yada yada. But it's really gotten to the point of just I hear rhetoric like that, and that it reminds me of why I say the Republicans are a cult, because it's just you don't say that about politicians. You say this is a horrible event, someone lost their life, and keep it at that. But and you're like, hey, I still think you should vote for Trump, whatever. Like that, put that. That's one of the things you can add on there. Not God is not done with him. Well, hopefully a country will be after November.